Well, let me begin by saying it's a joy to be here. I began to count up how many hours I've spent in this lecture hall, and I stopped very quickly because it's a very large number. And it was about 34 years ago when the geography was a little different in this room. But I remember my first lecture from Professor Margaret Miles. She was a freshly minted PhD, and I was a struggling master's student. And her brilliant lectures on the history of Christian thought indeed transformed my life that first semester. So it's great to be back. Thank you, Diana, for convening this. Thank you, Dean Hempton, for bringing us together. Thank you, Liz, for your work in conceiving this and getting us all here in good fashion. And thank you to all my panelists. And I look forward to a robust conversation. I want to proceed in my now 9.5 minutes left in two basic steps. First, I want to describe what I'm calling the quiet revolution in religious engagement by the United States government. And then second, I want to pivot to answer one of the questions of the day. What role might universities have in contributing to multi-faith collaboration and peacemaking? The quiet revolution really consists of two parts. The first one was the promulgation of a national strategy for on integrating religious leader and faith community engagement into United States foreign policy that was written by the Obama administration and the national security staff there. I approached this document in the best of all scenarios. I didn't contribute to its writing, but I own it now at the State Department. So I have some critical distance, but I have to be careful in how far from the document I stray. But let me simply summarize the three major goals of this strategy, which comes from the White House. The first goal is to promote sustainable development and more effective humanitarian assistance. The truth is, religious groups are the ones who are often at the forefront globally in delivering humanitarian aid, but also doing the long-term work of economic development across the globe. The second goal is to advance pluralism and human rights, including the protection of religious freedom. Our engagements with religious actors should continue to advance universal human rights, including religious freedom, while promoting tolerance, pluralism, and respect for human rights of members of minority or marginalized groups, especially women and girls, but also any individuals that are marginalized or persecuted for reasons such as their beliefs, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. Building on our current initiatives, we will increase our efforts and engage a diverse spectrum of religious leaders and institutions, including those whose views differ from our own, while being sensitive and respectful of their beliefs and traditions. And the third goal is to prevent, mitigate, and resolve violent conflict and contribute to local and regional stability and security. Across these objectives, the United States government will strive to, number one, build our capacity and the capacity of our international partners to engage religious leaders and faith communities through increased guidance and training. Number two, institutionalize our efforts, including through development of case studies in priority countries. And number three, further develop and improve our exchanges and convenings with religious leaders. Now, this is a very ambitious strategy, and perhaps we'll talk more about that in the panel discussion, but it signals a change in the American foreign policy approach to religious engagement compared to previous administrations. Now, the second piece of this, frankly, is the launching of my office, the Office of Faith-Based Community Initiatives, which actually is the result of the work of both Secretary Clinton and Secretary Kerry, both of whom believe that we neglect religious engagement at our peril. And it was due to their work that I was invited in to launch this office. And let me just say briefly, I have three jobs. And again, we can elaborate this if we have time. My first job is to advise the Secretary as religion cuts across the big issues that he deals with. And if you read the front page of the Times or the Post or the Globe, you see that religion cuts across almost every issue that Secretary Kerry is dealing with. And it's not, despite my 2 Harvard degrees, that I'm the smartest guy on religion in each of these spaces, but I'm 2 or 3 phone calls away from the people who are the smartest in the world in terms of what religion means in those contexts. So I'm an in-house resource for the Secretary of State. My second job is to build capacity for religious engagement across the State Department. We have an amazing array of offices. I've written down 15 offices that do religious engagement. I'm going to spare you the list. But simply to say that the State Department does engage an astonishing array of religious leaders around the globe. We need to get better. We need to get smarter. We need to find partners who will make us better and smarter in that. And part of my job is to build the capacity for smarter religious engagement in the State Department. And thirdly, the last job I have is to be a point of contact for external stakeholders who want to come and talk to us about our successes, about our failures, about potential partnerships. And in the first 4 months of my tenure, I have met with over 300 faith groups and faith leaders. So there's an astonishing pent-up demand. And these are both domestic and global constituencies who want to come and find out what we're doing and want to come and make us smarter and more adroit in this space. So I am a bit overwhelmed and stunned. I knew there was demand, but I've been frankly shocked by the number of people who keep showing up at my door and wanting to talk about what they do and talk to them about what I do. So all that's to say is I think we are at a very interesting pivot point in our foreign policy with respect to the issues that we're talking about tonight. So let me then shift and talk more about what indeed universities, and let me be blunt, let me be specific. I'm thinking in terms of what Harvard might be able to do. I do not have a global experience in higher education. I labored here more years than I care to admit in my graduate career. So I think I know some of the terrain here and the assets with which this institution is uniquely blessed. I think Harvard is uniquely prepared to make powerful contributions to building sustainable peace through multi-faith collaboration. I'm going to outline 4 areas where I think this university can make contributions. I'm going to start with some preliminary observations that Harvard possesses unparalleled expertise across law, international relations, international development, and religious studies. Any challenge it might have regarding the issue at hand, the challenges have less to do with the academic talent and more to do with the institutional structure and philosophy of the various tubs on their own bottoms, as they used to say. I don't know if they still use that language here. My own social location is shaped by my time here as a student, both at the Kennedy School and at the Divinity School, and is from my current position as special advisor to Secretary Kerry. First of all, I believe Harvard can remove some institutional barriers between schools through the establishment of joint degree programs. I essentially had to build my own degree by doing one here, one over there, and then coming back here to bring them all together. It would have been wonderful if I had more institutional support in the form of a joint degree program where I could have leveraged those assets and had a community of faculty and students to help me in that strange pilgrimage. So as I think about the wide range of religious engagement going on in the State Department, the question I keep coming back to, who's going to train the people I need to hire and that we need to hire to continue this work beyond the 3 short years I have in the State Department? We do not have people who are well trained on the political side as well as the religious studies side. Harvard is uniquely poised to overcome that and provide the kind of students we're going to need, graduates we're going to need in places like the State Department, much less in the wider globe. So that's the equipping aspect that I think Harvard has. Secondly, I believe that the innovative use of technology as well as more traditional pedagogical tools can create space, both virtual and real, for interdisciplinary conversation and learning. One of the things I'm really interested in is hearing stories about peacemakers on the ground. I could be somewhere around the planet every week going to big hat religious leader meetings, and I will have to do a lot of that. I'm much more interested in hearing the granular stories from people who can't afford a round-trip ticket to Vienna, who can't afford a round-trip ticket to London. But I do believe through the advance in technology we have today, universities can find those voices and can convene them in cyberspace, if you will, in a very powerful pedagogical fashion. This is kind of the missing ingredient right now as far as I can see. Again, Harvard is uniquely poised to leverage technology to have these kinds of conversations. Thirdly, I think Harvard can be a pioneer in developing interdisciplinary studies. There's a deadly virus infecting higher education today, and I've seen it in my own seminary. It's called the outcome assessment virus. Now, you can tell I have an axe to grind here, and I will cop to this. I believe we are burning so much time and energy in American higher education today trying to prove to, dare I say it, bean counters to quantify that our students are learning what we hope to teach. It's a perfectly legitimate question to say, do students learn what we think we're teaching? But where I protest is the form of measurement that is required. What they don't measure are collaborative skills. I don't know anywhere in America or globally where you can do a PhD in collaboration. That, to me, is the enemy today. We don't know how to train students to collaborate across the disciplines. Harvard, I think, has the juice, if you will, to pull that off and make it happen, because the issues we're dealing with here are not owned by any single discipline. It requires multidisciplinary training to pull that off. And fourthly and lastly, I believe that universities can address the research deficit in analyzing the quality and effectiveness of religious engagement by governments across the sectors of aid and development, the promotion of human rights, and mitigating conflict. Everyone celebrates their successful multi-faith engagement. Nobody talks about their failures. It's time we bring some independent, critical eyes to these global efforts to really tell us what, in fact, has worked and what, indeed, has not worked. Thank you very much. I hope I'm not over time. I'll cede back my 30 seconds. Thank you very much.